So, 안녕하세요. 영국에서 온 Alex입니다. Oh, there we go. Thank you. Apologies, the rest will be in English. So good morning, everyone. My name's Captain Alex Downs, and I'm head of Marine and Port Operations at Marella Cruises. Firstly, I would just like to thank everyone who's made this possible, and JTO especially for inviting me here and showing me around for the last couple of days. My wife and I have been here for 3 days now, and she loves it so much that I think she's decided we are going to live here. So if anyone knows of any houses for sale, if you could please let me know over the next couple of days, that'll be very helpful. All right, so I'm here to tell you a little bit about Marella Cruises and who we are and what we're doing, and my reason for being here at the 2022 Cruise Asia Forum as well. So, Marella Cruises, we are part of the TUI group. We are not, however, part of TUI Cruises. So, Marcus is a colleague of mine, but we're not directly working together. So, Marella Cruises, we are a British organization. We are part of the British side of TUI, and we are one of the biggest cruise lines in the UK. We're not quite the biggest, but we are certainly up there. We transport around 300,000 passengers per year on our 4 ships, and soon to be 5 ships when a new ship joins our fleet next year. And one thing that makes us very unique compared to other companies, which I think is very interesting, especially for those of you in this audience, what makes us very, very unique is that we come with our own airline. And so we do not rely heavily on big commercial airports. We do not need big commercial airline companies to already be flying to certain destinations for us to be able to operate out of there. We have our own airline, and that makes it very easy for us to begin home porting operations anywhere. All we need really is a runway that's long enough to deal with our planes, so it's very, very easy. So this means that smaller ports are able to think about home porting operations by using us as a customer, where they might not normally with other cruise lines. So that is quite an interesting fact for us. Now, much about our brand. We are a TUI brand, and so we use TUI infrastructure. So part of that is that TUI will be with you the whole way when you book a cruise with us. You will go on the TUI website to book a cruise. It'll be a Marella part of the website, but it'll be a TUI website. You will board a TUI plane. The logo that we all know is very, very big logo in Europe, so you'll see the logo on the plane, you will see the logo on the ship, you will see the logo on our staff's uniforms, and it is with you all the way. And that is very reassuring for some of our passengers, especially when you are traveling in foreign countries that you might not be familiar with, that you have that brand behind you. Another part of the cornerstone of our company is service. We are very proud of our crew and how they deal with our passengers, how they look after our passengers. We are not a very formal cruise line, we are a friendly, warm cruise line, and our passengers like coming back to our ships because they recognize friendly faces, and we take advantage of being a little bit smaller than the biggest of the companies. And the crew and the passengers generate rapport year in, year after they come back and forth, and so it really is nice to see when you are cruising on board. Destinations is a big part of what we do. We don't like to do cruises that have lots of sea days. We like to have our cruises in port quite often. So typically on a 7-day itinerary, we will have 6 ports of call to reduce the amount of sea days, to allow our passengers to see as much of the world as possible and as much of the places they're visiting as possible. So we pride ourselves on our port-intensive itineraries, as we refer to them as. And lastly, from a brand perspective, we are all-inclusive. So that means that when you book your holiday, when you go on the website and you book your holiday, you're paying for everything in one go. You are paying for your airline ticket, you are paying for your luggage, you are paying for your food, for your drink, for your tips, for your service, for everything. And that's very important for our demographic, because our demographic, they are not rich people, they are not people with lots and lots of money to spend, with millions and millions of pounds or dollars. They are quite humble people, quite normal working class people. And so it's very important, especially in the UK at the moment. We have an economic crisis, we have very high inflation and very low GDP. And so it's important that our passengers know exactly what they're spending in advance when they book their cruise. And it also benefits you as well as port destinations, because they know that they've spent everything, and by the time they actually come to be on the ship, they have a little bit extra money that they've earned in the last few months, which hopefully they'll share with you. So typically, our destinations tend to focus on the Mediterranean and the Caribbean area. This is where we do most of our business. We have traded elsewhere before, but this is the core part of our business offering. And so we tend to do the Mediterranean in the summer, and then the Canaries and the Caribbean in the winter. Now, obviously, as the cruise industry gets bigger, the Mediterranean and the Caribbean get smaller, and so it's very important that we need to find new destinations. And for me personally, I think it's very important that we offer more than just a couple of different destinations for our passengers. It could be very easy for us as a company to stick to what we know, but it's important that we branch out and that we find exciting new destinations. And for me, Asia is a very, very exciting destination. Our customers themselves, when we think about our customers, as I said earlier, we are mainly British. So our passengers are 95% British, 5% Irish usually, which of course of different nationalities with different passports, but in the grand scheme of things, they're a very similar kind of demographic. And we focus on families, and we tend to have two core demographics, the first of which are elder passengers who are retired, not necessarily rich, like I said before, but they are people who know what they want, and they're people who want to cruise with a trusted brand. And so that's why we can capitalize and take people further where they wouldn't normally go by themselves. These people will not book a holiday to Asia probably on their own. They would need someone like a trusted brand, like a trusted cruise line to take them there and to do it for them because they have that trust in us. So it's something that we can capitalize on. And our second core demographic are slightly younger, but they are families, 40 years old with a few kids. But the same sort of thing. They don't have too much money, they are not millionaires, and so they want to make sure that the money that they've worked hard to earn is spent properly, and that it's spent in a way that will give them a good value holiday. So when it comes to Asia, we have already committed. We are very pleased to recently go on sale with cruises out of Singapore with our partners at STB. And this is something that we've done to really push our offerings and to make sure that we're utilizing the available ports in the world and giving our passengers more than just the Caribbean and the Mediterranean. And so this is an example of our Singapore itinerary and a couple of the itineraries on the way back and forth to Singapore. Now, what I'm here for mainly this week is to talk to ports about what an itinerary in this area could look like for us. And I'd like to stress that you can see the question mark. Nothing is guaranteed. Nothing is promised. This is just a discussion. It's an illustration of what we could potentially do. And so for the illustration's example, we've chosen Busan as a port, but that could quite easily be Jeju as well. It could be any port in South Korea or the Japan region. Now, what I would like to do is, it takes me a long time to bring my ship from the Mediterranean to Singapore. It takes 1 month. And on the way from the Mediterranean to Singapore, I have 4 cruises that are not brilliant. They're not brilliant cruises and they don't generate me much money, and they also spend a lot of fuel. So what I'm looking to do, and this is where I need to go back and to convince my company that this is the best thing to do, is to potentially leave a ship here in Asia year-round. And if I leave a ship here in Asia year-round, I need lots of places to go and I need lots of variety on my itineraries. And so this is, for example, of one itinerary, and then we will back-to-back this with another itinerary. So we call these butterfly itineraries. We choose one key home port, and then we alternate a week A and a week B itinerary. Now, as I said earlier, everything pivots around our airline. So we are fixed, very fixed with our 7-day cruising because that's how our airline operates. So this would be, for example, a Thursday and Friday call in Busan, or a Thursday, Friday call in Jeju, depending on how our conversations go over the next few days. And you will do a week A and a week B. So your passengers will fly, they will join on day 1, and they will leave on day 14. So they have 2 separate 7-day cruises, and then every 7 days we switch half of the ship round. So it's very different from normal operation, it's different from other cruise lines, it's a unique product, and it's very good for you as ports. And the one thing that is very good for you as ports that other companies do not have is that usually the embarkation port is not a destination in itself. If you were joining a cruise ship in New York, you will fly into New York, you will get in a taxi, you might cross the bridge, but then you will get on the ship and the ship will leave, and you will not see New York. Whereas with this model, what happens is the embarkation port also becomes a destination, because they embark on day 1, And yes, they will land, they will go, and depending on how close the port is to the city, they might go ashore for an hour or two, but they'll be tired and jet lagged. But what will happen on this itinerary is that 7 days later, they will come back as full passengers, as in-transit passengers, with a little bit of money to spend, and they will look to do shore excursions, and they will look to do spending. So the example of our cruise really capitalizes on making the embarkation port also a destination 7 days later. And hopefully over the next couple of days, we can have a few conversations about whether we can work together or not. Thank you very much. Kamsahamnida.